Yes, everyone, you know what time it is. It's your boys Jack and Dave here giving our Twitter reacts after the Man United draw. I mean, it doesn't exactly feel like a win, but it feels like it's still justified to be doing a Twitter reacts, right, Dave?
Yeah, look, Postecoglou sort of alluded to it after the game, right? If you knew what boys have been through this week, you'd understand. Coming out of Old Trafford with a point and scoring two goals was a tall order, a tall ask. So I think the draw warrants a Twitter reacts, I suppose. Yeah, I'm proud of the boys today, coming back twice.
Under the circumstances, considering it's 4 points in the Premier League against Man United this season, I think we can try to celebrate it in some sort of type of manner as we try to do in any sort of situation. But we're going to get started with it straight away here, everybody. If you can for us, smash that like button and get your comments in on sort of any of the Twitter stuff that we might have missed over this kind of a Man United game. But Ron saying Udogi taking out Garnacho for a walk. I mean, the right side was completely locked down by, or at least Man United's right side. I mean, couldn't create anything down Udogi's side, down our left side. But I must say, Rashford was able to get a lot more freedom against Porro.
Mm, mm. Yeah, look, Adoji, I thought was up against Canacho. He's everything that Canacho would hate coming up against, right? Someone that's as strong as him, as fast as him, that can keep up with him. That is, he likes touch type defending and get stuck in, and he done very well to silence Canacho. He's been a real problem for United. Just a shame we couldn't do the same to Rashford.
Yeah, it felt like maybe Udogi got a lot more help maybe on his side from either Werner or some of the midfielders than maybe Porro did, because Porro felt like he got a bit more exposed, kind of on that
Mm.
Rashford side. Ongar Spurs. Hi, Gary Neville. Question: if Romero had done this, would you have glossed over it in the commentary? Dave, I mean, you were really all over this. Sadly, I had sort of missed it.
No, look, I said that straight away. If that was the other way around, Romero done that, Gary Neville be asking for a red card. I mean, it's petulance. It's a red card all day long, but because it's United media darlings, not given. If that was Romero, they'd be talking about it right now. Still at this time,
Yeah,
it's a
and you
joke.
you can sort of see that it is. I mean, it's not the most
He's aiming
nasty
for it.
thing you've ever seen, but it definitely is intentional and definitely is cynical from Johnny Evans there. Lee's as well saying Ange came to Old Trafford with a midfield three of Skip, Hoiberg, and Bentoncourt and controlled the game. Injuries impact quality, but not the identity. I mean, that's something that you can't say about Ten Hag, that's for sure. I must say, and as well as with Ange, it feels like he's one of the few managers that I mean, has really complained or really made such a big deal about the injuries, despite he really has been depleted at times and has just made do with what he's had. Despite even some of the
Mm.
criticisms we may have had for him from time to time, he has made do with what he's had available, and he's still gotten plenty of results, to be fair to him.
No, he has. Look, he's pushed through. And in years gone by, we've had other managers who sort of bemoaned their luck. Whereas Postecoglou, he won't do that. He won't make excuses, and if he won't make excuses, it means the players have no excuses. So I suppose it rubs off on them in a way, Jack.
Maybe it does indeed. And Darren Yarlett bringing up maybe the reason why I guess Sessegnon was missing, saying somebody was bringing up, just realized Sess isn't there either. And he says fatigue and a hamstring.
I think
Um,
he's being clever there now.
maybe he is, Dave, but he is at one stage, he was, maybe still is, a decent ITK for the Spurs community. What do you think, Dave? You think a bit of
Look,
housery?
fatigue. Yeah, I think so, especially on the fatigue side, right? He played what 5 minutes.
Who knows? I mean, it could have been, very hard, 5 minutes done by Ryan Sessegnon.
Definitely enough for him to pull his hammy though.
Could have put his real 40K a week, works of it into those 5 minutes. You never know. Billy saying Emerson wearing two pairs of gloves, even as a last minute sub. This guy is absolutely hilarious. I mean, Emerson will find a way to, always give us a chuckle. And even most times as well, I think Emerson just he always looks like every single hair follicle is perfect. The teeth are perfect. The socks, everything. He just always looks like everything has to look right. Just before it gets onto the pitch, and perhaps the two gloves, felt like a must from him, and you can't blame the guy. He knows his stuff. That guy, Mo.
Brilliant.
And Stefan McCrath saying, no doubt he's in early to practice his ooh for every Romero
Yeah.
tackle. Dave, this is also something you had brought up. or brought up?
Yeah, that's something I brought up. I was mimicking him, all the noise he likes to make when it comes to Romero. I bet you when it comes to Evans, and I haven't watched it. I'm gonna try and find and watch it back. But I guarantee you, who justified why not to give it a red card? Guarantee you.
James Black, the one and only, says no Captain Son, no Madison, no Kulusevski, no Basuma, no Sar. Half the team out away at Old Trafford, and we still should have won. Let the good times roll. When you list out all the players, like I brought up to Dave and plenty of people, I think it feel like just one of those guys, if we had available for that game, maybe we get
Yeah,
over the line. Just one of them. Not even
yeah,
asking for all of them, just one of them, and I feel like we get over the line. It was that
yeah.
sort of level of depletion. And Patty Harnett, Dave, yours, saying not happy with that draw, to be honest. And to me, that's a good thing because it shows the direction this team is going.
Yeah, I think that's a fair reflection. Look, I do think the fact that we're not happy with that draw does show how far we've come in a short space of time. I think it's good to remember that at times, especially if you are disappointed, maybe a bit like me with that sort of that draw. That is good to remember. You would have snapped your hand off for it at the start of the season. So
Right, right. And Prof Spur saying Timo had played 17 minutes of football lately prior to this match. Give him some time. He looked okay, or he looks okay. I think Timo, nothing really to rave about either side. I think he had a fine debut. Like nothing to, get over the top, kind of feel like he, tore the house down, but nothing to like, also get incensed about either. I think it was that sort of type of debut.
look, the reality is we can sit here and throw our arms up in the air with Timo Werner. What about Brennan Johnson? I mean, he was atrocious and he's been here a lot longer. Timo Werner came in, put in your standard 7 performance, came away with an assist. Look, I thought he'd done all right. Do I think he'll get better? I hope so. I do hope so.
Juki Critchley saying, unlike United and Chelsea, when Spurs miss key players, you still see the same patterns and the same structure of play, a sign of coaching methods being well communicated and well received. I think
Mm,
spot on there.
very good point. Very good point. I'm not even going to say anything to detract from that. It's just a very good tweet there, to be fair.
The caller saying sickness in the camp, United players finally turning up, key players away or injured as well, and still could have won. Top performance. I love the fact that it's also the sickness in the camp and United
Yeah,
players turning up. Those are two very bad Spurs omens in a game for sure.
yeah.
The caller's spot on there. Billy saying 2 week break with our battered squad is all well and good until you realize we don't get to watch them until, again for 2 weeks after this.
Do you know what, Jack? I'm actually okay with the break. As much as I agree with Billy, it's the first thing I said to you. Oh man, we don't have the game for ages. But I do think we do need this break now to really try and get bodies back to push on now.
Definitely. And then AK saying Pedro Porro is better than Trent Alexander-Arnold, but he's not English, so this won't get recognized. Here's the thing, though. Like, I've recently watched Trent, though, and he's been in some pretty ridiculous form. he they're both insane. Like they're both insane in kind of their respective ways. Where Trent
Mm,
really does sort of play like one of the most progressive midfielders, where he does sort of start every move. It feels like for Liverpool, and he's the guy that can
mm,
break, can break the lines of most midfield with any sort of pass that he wants, and he's almost never making a sideways pass. It feels like he's always looking to make a dangerous pass. Pedro Porro, I would say, pretty similar, if not the same. It's just that they almost seem to have different types of instructions on where they play, where they position themselves, what sort of, kind of areas they want to exploit from sort of their technique and their, sort of technical ability. That's what maybe I would say the big difference is. But I must say, like, Trent and him are both ridiculous footballers. They're both ridiculous.
Look, I think for me, Jack, the difference comes in, defensively. I think they're both equal as good as on the ball. I think they both share similar attributes in that regard, like you're saying. But I think the difference comes in defensive. I think Paul Rowe's a better defender than Trent Alexander-Arnold. If his name was Paul instead of Pedro, they'd be raving about him.
He just needs a Paul or, something
Yeah,
in there.
simple.
A Henry, baby. Alex saying, honestly, my hamstrings wouldn't last seconds in the
Fair
Spurs
point.
defense. Yeah, they're all going to drop like flies. Zoe's saying, Richarlison, absolute animal today. Great attribute. Zoe's,
Yeah.
pointing out there. He was an animal today.
Prue. Absolutely unbelievable. Do you know what, Jack? We asked the question in the pre-match build-up. Who's going to step up? Richarlison led that line. He stepped up.
Indeed, that was the guy that answered the call. James Black saying, all I could hear all game was the Spurs fans. No one compete with that. Take a bow. And I think that's just them as well. Just,
Incredible.
the players as well thinking, the away fans, well done to them, the traveling away support. The Spurs scouts, seriously selfless performance, rewarded with a goal. Done so well to link play, all around awareness and decision making seemed a lot more clear, and his output in duels high up the pitch was top. Hold up play out wide was nice as well. One of his best Spurs performances. Would you put it up there with one of his best?
I'll probably say his best all-round game, Jack. I think he done everything. He ran the channels, held up the ball, made a nuisance of himself, won the ball back. Won corners, won throw-ins, done great defensively, and he took his chance that came his way. I think today was probably his best all-round performance in terms of all-round game.
Well, there you are. The Spurs scout Dave seems to
What do you
agree.
think?
It's hard to always think of, that immediately. I'm not like KPV or anybody, who can,
Yeah.
recite a million games, straight away. Um, Come to think of it, the way you just described it, where when it comes to maybe every part of what makes a good striker's performance, a lot of the little things as well that comes into it. Yeah, he did a lot of the little things really well and got his goal, but I don't know. I'll have to think of that. I'll have to think of that maybe a bit later on. LJ1882 says we were his sort of summary of the game. We were the better team and feels like 2 points were dropped, but with two key players missing away from home, it's an okay result. Werner won't score many goals, but but his runs and link-up play will improve. And then playing Pierre Mahoyberg and Skip tells us that we need more transfers in January. Love my club. Any of those you would pick out?
Yeah, I think 3 and 4 for me, Jack. I think the first few are very well covered. I think Werner won't score many goals, but his runs link up play will improve, and I think I'd go along with that. Look, the two opportunities he had today, one ended up in Coronation Street, and the other one, it was just an awful effort. It should have hit the target at plenty of time. And that was my biggest concern with him coming in here. And I think that was many people's biggest concern. Is that the player you're going to get? However, there are other aspects to the game. His job as a winger is to mainly assist, and he came out of the game with an assist today. And I do think in that aspect there's a lot more to come from him. And then look, the fact that you were down to Pierre Hojberg and Skip. Hojberg, he wants to go. Skip, we all know he's not good enough. So it does show that that is the next area. If we can do something this window, go and get it done.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And
And the last one, love my club. I think we all do.
definitely so, LJ. This is just, I thought, funny because this was brought up by Adrian Gia. And Adrian Gia, if you do happen to watch the Twitter reacts that we put out, let me know if you caught this. This is from the Sweeper podcast, a terrific podcast that I do happen to listen to. And they're saying it is a big day for Hong Kong, who are set to make their first Asian Cup appearance in 56 years. Though officially a special administrative region of China, Hong Kong will compete in the international sport and they actually beat China for the first time in 29 years earlier this month. So maybe that's what Adrian could have been alluding to, was the first, international competition like this of, real magnitude that they've competed in for over 56 years. I mean, that is pretty ridiculous.
Madness.
So.
Look, like I said, I didn't even realize they had a team. I thought they probably would have fell in under the China umbrella, even though I know they're trying to be their own and stuff like that. So you learn something new every day.
Yeah, there you go.
I love
Congratulations
an
to them.
underdog story.
Yeah, and let me know if that's what you were alluding to, Adrian. Pedro Porro saying, a hard-fought battle today. Unlucky not to come away with more, but we'll take this point and keep pushing on. Yeah, look, I agree, Pedro. I think, a very hard-fought point, very well-deserved point. You couldn't really say that Spurs didn't deserve that point. And maybe unlucky not to come away with more, but we keep pushing, and this is the way, like Romero likes to say. This is C-Dog THFC saying, and maybe I thought you'd appreciate this, Dave, just a sort of a bit of a talking point. Lennon was one of the most exciting players we'd seen at Spurs, but if you remember, he couldn't cross for the life of him in his first couple of years, hitting the first man or always overhitting it. But he came good, he learned, and he grew as a player and was a key player. Give Brennan Johnson that time. He's getting in all the right positions. He will become a big player for us. Your thoughts? Agree? Disagree? Maybe with this?
Look, I think it's pretty much what I've been saying. I've sort of alluded to Jack. He has the ability of a Garrett and Bale, or a Garrett Bale, or an Aaron Lennon with that sort of initial pace that he's got. But what he doesn't have is that final product. And he's gonna have to become a lot better. Look, Aaron Lennon was absolutely brilliant. I agree with it to a certain degree, but there was always glimpses with Aaron Lennon that he was going to come on and be sort of that player. He always made an impact, before he eventually became that player that you could really rely on. With Brennan Johnson, I don't think he has the same energy, the same work rate, or the same desire as an Aaron Lennon did personally. I think that's where the difference might come in.
Alrighty. And
It's up to Johnson though. He can be what he wants to be. It's up to him.
no, I think it was just an interesting comparison that I thought I'd
Mm,
throw your way, and see what your
mm.
response would be to it. Simon Humane saying Richarlison, man of the match for me, put in an insane amount of work on and off the ball today. Exactly right. And that's where I think Dave pointed out straight away before even the game started that Richarlison rarely gets any praise for that, to be honest. And it's a funny thing because that's what sort of makes this whole Ange Postecoglou system work is also that defensive work off the ball. And a lot of times it starts from the front, and you could never really say Richie, holds out or leaves something left. He always puts in his most on the pitch.
Do you know, I just feel sorry for him, Jack, because he's a player that that he's going to give his all 100% committed to the cause when he plays. But for some reason, he seems to be the most under fire man in the in the club right now. But yet he's the most prolific forward we've got right now. So I don't quite sort of understand it, to be honest with you. But a performance like today, hopefully he enjoys them plaudits. There was days where he thought he'd never probably get them from Spurs fans. So hopefully he enjoys them, dusts himself down, move on, and go and score again. No better way to answer the critics.
And Prof Spurs saying Udogi made Garnacho look like an academy player, and they're like 1 years apart in age. Cody Mack saying words can't explain how much I need this second half comeback. It's going to be snowing 20 centimeters in the next 48 hours, apparently, for Cody, and it's a -8. It looks like at the moment, as well as the low. To -10 is the real low. Sorry, -8 is the high. Sorry, typo there. The Billy saying the fact that I'm annoyed to draw at Old Trafford says a lot. Haven't seen us dominate the game there like that. Considering the absentees and returning players, that's very, very good. We are going to be such a good team under this manager. We move. I love that tagline that everybody sort of has like after most games. Yeah, I agree with that for the definitely there, Billy. And Michael Hamilton saying today, how many players played with Ericsson in a Spurs shirt? Not many. Paratici and Levy has totally reshaped the squad.
Son would have been the only one, wouldn't he? But he's off at the
Yeah, good point.
representing Korea because Son's the only one that actually started in that 11 in the Champions League final. He's the only one left at this club now who actually started in that Champions League final. So, there wouldn't have been anybody on the pitch today that would have played with Ericsson. I wouldn't have thought. I don't think there was, no.
And Paratici has done very well in terms of bringing in players to replace
And that's
the
all it is.
dross, but also the outgoings. I must say they've been, for what Spurs have never been ruthless, and they're starting to be just more. I wouldn't ruthless is maybe too complimentary, but it might be. They're just at least getting what we needed them to get done,
Mm,
both sort of this last summer, but also now finally this January very quickly, which
mm.
is a huge relief for sure. And you, Dave, saying what a performance from Richarlison today. He is a guy who gets a lot of shite thrown his way, and he deals with it and gets on with his job. What an attitude.
Mm. Do you know what? Part of me wishes I could be so much better with my word choices and how I construct it, Jack. But it's straight to the point, and I think it's a fair. I think it's fair.
Maybe you should have read
Despite
it.
the shit he gets, he goes out there and puts in the performance. The players I've moaned about the grief they get from fans and stuff like that, right? And used that as an excuse. Richarlison has never done that. He's just said, okay, I accept it. I'll go out there and prove you wrong, and he's done that. What an attitude! I wish more had like. I wish players that have been here over the last 4 or 5 years had the same attitude.
Maybe better read in your own voice. Who knows? That one. And then Nabil N17 saying, we haven't done enough to win, but that's a poor, poor result for us. He has a contrary opinion. Man United are abysmal. They were there for the taking too. Feels like 2 points dropped, but we move. Need our players back as soon as possible. Dave, not too controversial of an opinion, do you think?
I don't think so. Look, I think I think if I'm happy with the point, I think we got away with it, but show a great fight back, right? In a weird way. I think if you're disappointed, it's because you were probably expecting us to play a lot better than what we did. I think the stats don't tell the full story. Yes, it says we dominated possession. Yes, it says we have a lot of shots. How many clear cut chances did we create though?
Mm.
Not many that I remember whatsoever. How many times did we give away possession? A hell of a lot. I think Oidberg gave it away 20 times. I think that's his official stat coming out of the game. He lost possession 20 times or something like that. And that's just him. Pedro Porro gave away a lot. Although his deliveries were spot on and he grew into the game, he gave away a lot in the first half and stuff like that. So I can see the point the Bills may be trying to make that, it wasn't the best performance. But look, at the end of the day, we got out of there with a point. If you don't play well, you don't lose. That's the rule.
And last but not least, Simon Yemaine saying this is what makes him different, what no other center back in our team has, but so many other of these
Oh yeah.
center backs on these top lists can't or won't even do. World class. I had even asked you straight away, Dave. I was like, who was
Yeah,
the
I remember.
man who made that pass? And because that's what I knew had made that move from the get go. That's the thing that had made that move possible was just this pass from Romero. An unbelievable pass. Unbelievable.
And you know what, Jack? I think that's one thing that really gets missed when it comes to analysing Romero. I think if everyone gets caught up in the rashness and some of the red cards and that side of the game. But one thing I think that really gets overlooked when they come to analyse Romero is actually what he offers us on the ball. I think it often gets overlooked, and I understand because look, defence is your sort of first job, right? It's your primary job. But how you are on the ball is extremely important. We should know that from what we've been seeing with Emerson and Davies at the back the last few weeks. None of them can play that pass.
And it's glad to have him back for sure. Well, that's the end of the Twitter Reacts. A draw, can't get too overexcited about it, but, certainly no reason to put our heads in shame. And I think a reason to keep our heads held high, that's for sure. So that's why we put in the Twitter Reacts there. Please, everybody, smash that like button. Do get your comments in. And feel free to tag us or anything if you did want, maybe your opinions or whatever it is on the game to get included in the Twitter Reacts. But I think we'll leave you there. We move on, like everybody's saying. We move. And
We move.
we'll see you for the next one, everybody. Come on, you Spurs. In the big inch we trust. Prue, prue. See ya.